Welcome to Straight Talk Sacred Pathway. I'm Stuart Wellborn, a British author and former therapist, and each week I sit down with Wa-Na-Nee-Che, a spiritual elder from Turtle Island, to explore the deeper truths behind healing, ceremony, and connection to Source. Good evening, Wa-Na-Nee-Che.
Oh, hello.
You said you've got something important you want to say, so I'll let you
Yeah,
crack on.
I want to talk a little bit about history. Before migration, Turtle Island, as we called it, was a ecological heaven. There was no climate change. Everything was in balance. 60 years after migration, it changed. We had climate issues because when the migration happened here, when they came here, the first thing they did was they cut down the trees. So again, that affected the climate. I don't know if people actually realized how much damage the immigrants did when they came here. They completely upset everything. Balance was gone. And then one of the reasons why the migrants came here was because of religious persecution. So when they landed here and the indigenous people helped them, the first thing they did was try to basically force their religion on them, which did not go well with the native people. So whenever they were kicked out of Europe or wherever they came from, they were kicked out because of their religious beliefs. But as soon as they got here, they put their religious beliefs to the natives. So that completely upset things. Now, I don't know if people actually realize that it was illegal when the United States was formed, that it was illegal for native people to practice their religion. If they start using herbal remedies, when they start doing spiritual ceremonies, they were thrown in jail because they tried to subdue our way of life, our belief system. Uh, it didn't change, believe it or not. Things didn't change until 1972 under the Religious Freedom Act, which we were now allowed to do our ceremonies. We're allowed to basically practice our spirituality. A lot of people think we always had it, and yet a lot of people are surprised that it took until 1972 for us to be given permission in our own land to utilize our spiritual connections. They also used basically the word heathen to basically say because indigenous people weren't connected to a religion, they were heathens, and therefore they had no right to own land. And it wasn't until the 1950s that they were actually recognized as citizens in their own country. Now, when you look at what happened to the indigenous people, the first thing that they did was they identified us as Native American Indians. In our own land, we now became Native American Indians. We weren't Americans. We were nations. And there were several different nations all over, but we practiced something that they could not understand. And that is, we practiced our religion basically was the creator. The creator was the head of our religion. And we followed the rules and regulations that were set down to all nations here on Turtle Island, that love was the most important thing and respect for all things. So as soon as the government come in here, they started to basically take this all away. I don't know if people ever wondered why it was taken away. It was because of fear. They wanted to completely kill the spirituality beliefs of the native people. They would take Indian children, babies up to 5, 6 years old, and offer them to families that were non-Indians for adoption. They actually stole the kids from the parents and then offered them to non-natives. So again, being so young, they lost their identity of being indigenous. It was stripped from them. When you went to the boarding schools, if you spoke your language, you were punished. You were made to eat soap. They cut your hair off. They basically forbid you to speak your language. So the whole process of the American government was to eliminate the indigenous people, to take away their culture, to take away their spirituality, and to make them mainstream Anglo people. And I was thinking the other day, I said, why would they do something like this? And remember, I said they did it out of fear. Because under the tradition of the traditional people, they didn't really have a government that would basically try to control them. Their governments worked with them. They worked for the benefit of all the people. Well, when you look at the Constitution, you look at everything else, which basically a lot of it was taken from the native people. But they didn't follow it. Because in our way of life, no one went hungry. No one didn't have shelter. They had shelter provided. They had a medical situation that was free. And because it was free, then indigenous people who were sick would give something to the spiritual healer to say thank you. Because it was always believed that if you give something, you get something in return. And it didn't basically say, okay, well, you give me this piece of land and I'll do this. No, you did something, and then of the kindness of that person for being healed, they would offer something back to the healer. So they used fear so that people would not understand that they are human beings. They don't belong to any race but the human race. But because of this belief system that the indigenous people had, they had to scare people away from the spiritual teachings. Because when they took away the spiritual teachings and made them Native American Indians, you could never become a Native American Indian because they didn't exist. They weren't from America, they were from Turtle Island. They weren't from India, so they weren't Indians. And they weren't Americans. They were indigenous. But because of the word indigenous, meaning like Anishinaabe, a real person of the earth, means that anybody can become a real person of the earth. They can become indigenous. They can't become Native American Indians, but they could become indigenous. And this was our sworn duty before the return of the people who have left Turtle Island, and they came and represented 3 different colors. We were supposed to bring them back to balance. And this scared the hell out of government and religion, because you didn't need religion then. You didn't need government. So the first thing they had to do was to kill this belief system so they could not teach it to the people who wanted to become indigenous. So people have to understand that if you want to make change, you've got to get involved. The more people get involved, and I don't mean just putting things on Facebook and everything like that. No, they have to live it. Because if they live it, they find their pathway. They find who they are. They get knowledge from visions of what their capabilities are. How to teach people by giving them tools that they have, if they walk the same pathway, to help them find their pathway. So this is why it's so important that the human circle of life is really the sacred hoop. But a lot of people aren't responding. That means they're more controlled by the mind. And because people are controlled by the mind, we have hatred, violence all over the world because they think with their brain and they allow people to influence them. If someone talks to me trying to influence me, I say, okay, fine. I gotta go out and ask for a vision that will tell me the truth. And this is where people can get a lot of their knowledge because once they get connected, once they commit themselves to their pathway, a lot of great things happen. But a lot of things too have to be aware of is that because the evilness is so big, so humongous in the world today, those people who are finding their pathway are going to be challenged by their energies. They're going to be attacked so that they will change their mind. And they got to understand that they are more powerful than this negative energy. Once they discover they can't be hurt. But once they get into your mind, you can be hurt. So we got to get people to go back into their life force energies so that they can control their mind from believing things that are not true. And this is very, very important because I've dealt with people that they allow their minds to control themselves and therefore they have fear. And fear controls us. The only way to get rid of that fear is to confront it and to understand that you have a gift and your life force energy is stronger than anything the brain can produce. But you have to believe that you are connected. Whereas everything in society goes against your connection. No, you're not connected. No, you don't do this. You have dreams and vision. Oh, it's only a dream. And then they sit there, and I was laughing because one lady called me and said, "I had a dream," and they interpreted it, and she said they interpreted it this way. I said, "Oh, well, wait. Before we go any further, tell me a little bit about your vision." Well, I dreamt about horses. Okay. What were the horses doing? What color were the horses? Where were they located? She said, why? I said, because that's all part of the vision. If they only see horses, they're going to say, oh, you want freedom. But the whole idea, when you start understanding there's more to that vision than just the horses, then you get a clearer picture of what that vision meant. And the first thing I tell people, don't try to interpret your dreams. Because the minute you sit there and say, well, let me think, but wrong place. You're not going into your spiritual connection, you're going into your mind connection. So you're going to interpret it the way you want it to interpret it, not the way it is meant to be interpreted.
So what's the difference though, from your
Well,
perspective?
if you sit there, you'll always interpret a vision that will benefit you. You'll say, I had a vision, and this is what it means. It means I'm going to come in, I'm going to win the lottery. Well, they'll win the lottery. So, but in a vision, it gives you all kinds of aspects. When you're there, you have to look around. What is present in your vision? Because they play a very important role in how you need to sit there and let the dream itself or let the vision itself interpret itself. A lot of times I'll try to interpret it and I'll say, no, it doesn't sound right. So maybe a week later, I'll be driving down the road, all of a sudden, bing, the bell goes up and the vision it's clear to me exactly what you were trying to tell me.
Well, I
So
get what
that's,
you say.
yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
I was just saying, I get what you mean because now you're talking visions as a psychoanalyst, like dream analysis is part of what we kind of do. And if you were to take like a lot of the dream symbology, like Freudian stuff, like for example, you mentioned horses, that if you just took it by some of the symbology from the book, you would go, oh, that could be represent the father or something like that. Whereas if that person actually is into horses, it could mean something completely different. So you'd have to take in more than just the typical symbology of what's in a dream. So what I'm trying to get at is, as an analyst, I would be trying to find out more about the client and their relationship, say, with horses. You're saying that they can't interpret it. You've got to look at everything that's around it then.
Well, if you have dreams too, you have to understand, and you'll understand, I mean, but they have to understand. The fact is that you have to discover what psychological control is in their life that is causing them this grief. And by
Mm,
seeing certain things, it tells you a little bit more about them if it's a dream, then you can analyze it because it's a psychological problem.
yeah, because certain dreams
Yeah.
um, mean absolutely nothing. It's just something that's happened in the day. It's a bit of wish fulfillment, and it comes out in symbology. I'm going to ask you something here then, because recurring dreams tend to have significant meaning. And trying to analyze your own dreams is not always easy. I've had them for years now. A recurring dream. It's not always identical, as in, the same thing. As you know, I'm ex-Royal Navy. I have a recurring dream where it feels real. It's one of those dreams that takes ages, and you feel like you're there. I'm joining another warship, but I haven't got the training for the job I'm supposed to do. Now, I was a sonar operator. I got my promotion, and would have been joining another ship, and which would have meant I'd have gone away and done the sonar side of the promotion. But because I had surgery and got medically discharged, I never did that bit. So basically, I had the rank but didn't have the trade training. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with it, but I've had this recurring dream where I've joined a ship and I feel like a fraud because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay. Well, the whole idea with it is that you didn't finish your job.
Uh-huh.
So it's psychologically implanted something inside your brain. And because you can't go back and you can actually fulfill and get all the training you needed, you have a guilt complex. So you
Right.
keep having the dream over and over again. And the first thing that you probably have to do when if you're working with somebody like that is say, look, it's not important because you're not there anymore. You don't
Uh-huh.
have to worry about it. It's not your job. So what you do is just say you have to work on just getting rid of it and replacing with something that's pleasant. If you had
Okay.
a great accomplishment, use the great accomplishment to take away the idea that you never finished your training. And it heightens you up. And it basically it takes care of that dream because you haven't confronted it.
So how do I confront it?
You barely confront it, take a look at it, and the first thing you have to say, well, this happened to me. I was discharged because of an injury. So therefore, I never had a chance to finish my sonar training. But then again, because of what happened, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
So it's not important anymore because they gave you a way out. Because something probably would have happened while you were on your job that basically would have been something that was probably horrible. So they gave you
Probably.
things to help you release that and so that you never have to confront it.
So why does it keep coming up though?
Well,
It
you're
must have a
getting,
reflection upon something that's going on in my life now, surely.
well, again, you like to focus on your accomplishments and you're looking at that thing as something that you never completed. So therefore you never accomplished it. So every time you go back, you're trying to sit there, well, how can I accomplish this? How can I? You can't. It's in the past. You have to basically say it was meant to be. I'm a better person now.
Hmm,
Because
interesting.
who knows? Your ship may have blew up. You did it.
Not just that, but also what you might have accomplished in your life.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have food in my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For I'm
that's a
saying,
look.
Clear your mouth, Matthew, because don't forget that some people only listen to this.
sorry. So what I was saying is that it can also mean that you're supposed to accomplish other things that you were meant to do instead of being a sonar. So that means that something interfered for you to accomplish something much greater.
Well,
Yeah.
what worries you the most? Because when you look at when Matthew come on, I was going to say that, but it was nice for him to say it. Sonar. What does sonar do?
Well, it's sound under the water that sound navigation and ranging it stands for. My job was to find submarines.
Okay, so that explains something very important. You used your sonar experience to try to identify problems in your future or in your everyday life. So you're not accomplishing it. So you keep having that reoccurrence stream. So what you have to do is understand that deal with things that you can accomplish because you don't start at the top, you start at the bottom and you work your way up. And by the time you get to number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are gone because you've done exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You're worried a lot too because, again, you're doing things like you would like to see your book go
Mm.
okay, and you're struggling with it. See, so what it's actually telling is that don't worry about it. Whatever meant to happen is going to happen.
Well, that
Uh,
does make sense, actually.
hey, Stuart,
All you have to do is make dollars out of it.
do
Go
you
then,
feel?
Matthew.
I was gonna say, do you feel like sonar is your true gift, or do you feel like it's something else?
Oh no, no, no,
Yeah.
no! It's just I've not had it recently. I don't think. I may have done within the.
Because sonar can lead to more of a could be your
Uh,
gift. It may not be because you could be sensing things
what
that others cannot sense,
what
like
probably makes more sense? Sonar, you can see things before it happens, and sometimes you don't like what you see happening.
that's the best way to say it. Think like a bat when it comes to sonar.
Well, there was two different types of sonar. There's active and passive. Most people know the active one, which is the bing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that, but look at bat. Understand the bat. Why is the bat so connected to the sonar? Like it was actually its natural instinct. That's that. That could be another way of looking at it too.
You remember the story I told you about the bat?
Yes.
Okay. So look for the tree.
Maybe. But at the same time, and like this is me being analytical and like
Yeah.
this is my thing, but passive sonar was looking at lines on grids
Uh-huh.
of frequencies and you analyzed it to work out what type of submarine was because it's just
Okay.
something that picks up sounds in the water and you'd be going, oh look, there's a line there. That means it's a Typhoon class submarine or whatever.
Have you ever thought that may be your gift?
That's what
What
I'm saying.
analyzing?
Analyzing things.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
also, do you dream about bats a lot?
No, I'm not
No?
Batman.
No, no, it's not even like that. I just want to see if there's any type of animal that has some kind of connection to echoing to sonar type of senses.
No, no, no. Like I say, it's one that it's weird when it comes up. I may have it a couple of times in a month, in a year, and then not have it for ages. But I think we're getting close there. And like now, we've turned this episode into analyzing me.
You need to accept your gift and quit doubting it.
Mhm,
That's why it keeps recurring.
mhm.
No, I think you've ticked
Accept,
some boxes there. I'll have to
Maybe,
play this episode again now.
maybe
go with
ask,
your instinct. Like the first thing that comes into your head, go with it.
and like I said,
Crazy
maybe
stuff.
ask the bat too, because something keeps on coming up with the bat. That's why I was asking.
No, no, I never dream of bats.
No,
It's
no, it's
literally.
not about the bat. It's maybe you have to ask the bat or
Oh, I
about
see. Ask the bat.
something.
Yeah, getting
Yes.
back to the subject matter is that we need to
Yes.
tell people they have to get off their couches, off their easy chairs, and they need to spread this broadcast to all the people that they can think of. so that we can really start organizing, because you can't do a thing unless you have the organization to do it. And if you don't have the people who are willing to do it, it flops.
Exactly. I'm just going to cut in for a second there. For listeners and viewers, we have now got a Facebook page. It's literally only just been set up today. On there will be regularly posted now from Thursday. The episodes, we'll be putting some back ones, and there'll be some other stuff going on there. So you will find Straight to a Sacred Pathway on Facebook has its own page now. I want one quick question, Wa-Na-Nee-Che, because when you started off this, what it's probably a dumb question, I don't know, but why do you call it Turtle Island?
Turtle Island, basically, the story is that the turtle dove deep, deep into the ocean, and it put the soil upon its back, and then it rose, and when it came to the surface, it became an island.
Right.
And because the turtle brought it, it was called Turtle Island.
Oh, what's the author? And the author? Oh, what's his name now? Does the weird books like Bad Omens and all that? Terry Pratchett. Didn't he have a turtle with the planet Earth on top of it or something?
Yeah.
Did he? I don't know because I can't. I've not really read Terry Pratchett.
They actually put the continents together. The bulk of it is the center of the turtle.
Hmm.
And when you look down in South America, isn't that the tail? And then you look above Canada, isn't that the head? So at one time, Turtle Island was one continent, and then it split.
Okay, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so you better finish off what you actually wanted to say. Now you've answered my question.
All I'm saying is that if they listen to the broadcast, they need to basically get the word out that we can't do anything until people come together. All this stuff on Facebook really is nice to see, but in reality, if that's all they do, where does it go?
Nowhere.
It dies. It goes to the ground. It dies. So we have to lift it off the ground, make it something that's public, that basically is done every day, that we understand that we have to do things a certain way. And we have to stop looking up, because if we look up, we'll walk off a cliff because we're not following our pathway.
Thanks for listening to Straight Talk Sacred Pathway. If you'd like to ask Wa-Na-Nee-Che a question, you can email me at stuart@realityresponsibility.com. The link will be in the description. And don't forget, you can download a powerful guided meditation for free at humancircleoflife.com.